how some websites just get you? They greet you by name, they remember what you were looking at. It feels kind of personal, almost like magic. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on some of the tech that makes that happen. We're talking about a simple but super powerful tool that really helped kickstart this whole thing, JSP. But hey, before we can appreciate the solution, we've got to understand the problem it was built to solve. And it all starts with what we call the static web. Have you ever been to a web page that just feels flat, like a printed brochure? It shows you the exact same thing it shows me, and the person next to you, it never ever changes. Well, that's a static page. And believe it or not, for a long time, that's pretty much all the web could do. So let's put this side by side. A static page, it gives everyone that generic welcome visitor message. But a dynamic page, well, it can say, welcome back, Alex. It can actually know who you are. It changes, it adapts, it creates an experience just for you. So how do we make that leap? And this is where our hero of the day makes its grand entrance, JSP. This is the tech that lets us turn those boring one-size-fits-all pages into living, breathing, dynamic experiences. So what is JSP, really? Well, the name kind of gives it away. Java Server Pages. The big idea is that it lets a developer take a totally normal web page, built with HTML, and then inject little snippets of powerful Java code right inside it. That's how you make specific parts of the page come alive. Honestly, if you only remember one thing from all this, make it this right here. JSP is just Java plus HTML living together in the same file. And this was a game changer. It finally built a bridge between the designers who make a page look good with HTML and the programmers who build the smarts with Java. It's such a simple idea, but the results, incredibly powerful. Okay, to really get how this mashup works, let's use an analogy that I think will make it all click. Let's imagine we're baking a cake. So a JSP file isn't actually the final web page. Nope, it's the recipe for the web page. The HTML parts, those are your basic ingredients, the flour, the sugar, the eggs. They give you the basic structure. But the Java code, that's the set of special instructions. That's the part of the recipe that says, hey, if it's Alex's birthday, add some sprinkles. And here's what that recipe looks like in code. See on the left, that's our HTML. H1, hello user, that's the basic structure, it's always going to be there. But look at the right. Inside those funny-looking tags, that's a Java instruction. That specific tag, the one that starts with =/p, is basically telling the server, hey, run this little piece of code and stick the result right here. In this case, it just prints out user. But you can imagine it being a command to go look up a real person's name in a database. All right, so we've got our recipe. But how does that recipe get turned into an actual finished web page? For that, we need to meet the chef who's working behind the scenes. So think of the web server as our chef. Step 1, your browser asks for a page. Simple enough. Step 2, our chef, the server, goes and finds that JSP recipe. Now for the magic. Step 3, the chef reads and follows all those special Java instructions. This whole process makes a brand new, finished page that is pure HTML. And finally, the chef serves that finished page, not the recipe, right back to your browser. And this part is absolutely crucial. Your web browser has no idea any of that Java stuff happened. It never sees the recipe with all its complicated instructions. All it gets is the final, perfectly baked cake, a clean, simple HTML page. All the dynamic magic happens behind the scenes, safely on the server. And that really brings us to the whole point of this technology, the main benefit of this entire process, which is actually beautifully simple. At the end of the day, this is what JSP delivers. It makes building powerful, personalized, dynamic websites much more straightforward. It lets developers use the tools they already know and love. HTML for the structure, Java for the logic, all in one place. So let's leave you with this final thought. JSP helped introduce a massive idea that a web page doesn't just have to be a static document. It can be a living, breathing program. That one shift in thinking completely paved the way for the incredibly interactive and personal web we all use every single day. And it makes you wonder, what comes next?